of lines up. Say I want an image of a judge, and watch what it does. I want an image of a felon. Watch what it does. It's doing exactly what our society has been doing, and it's setting us back. So just know that things like Black GPTs, which has Aaron. Aaron is doing an amazing job on here, by the way, with Chat Black GPT, and John Passmore with his Latimer.ai. They're inclusive, but they're trained in a different way because we have to have training in a different way. Is that's making
Yeah.
any sense? Yeah.
You know what, Stefan? Actually, what you just said just made me think about just in when we're talking about IRL, right? We have to train ourselves against the biases
Oh,
that we automatically have. And AI models have biases built in. So it's like you kind of have to untrain the AI from being biased, right? But where does that come from? It comes from the data that's being fed into the AI systems, right? So, what does that say about who needs to actually shape the
right.
data that's
Yeah.
being fed into
Yeah.
the AI systems?
Christopher, you had put a preliminary question that's very interesting. You were saying, in what ways can AI be designed and implemented to recognize and celebrate diversity?
Mhm.
Well, I get that, but maybe the question needs to be, in what ways can teams be designed? Because AI
Mhm.
is not out there doing it.
Mhm.
There's some people sitting around a table who've been hired at a company who are making the decisions. So for us in our community to say, hey, Sam Altman and those things, can you do it this way? It's not going to be that way. We all need to be around the table. So, in what ways can AI be trained to design this? How about in what ways can the teams work to design this? Because that's where it really starts.
It seems to me as I'm sitting here under the sound of both of your voices, and we're so thankful for your expressions thus far, and even with some of the minutes that we have, permit me to be candid. Diversity, equity, inclusion is under assault at a time where it should not be under assault in this present time, because the reality is, when I look at OpenAI, when I look at ChatGPT, when I look at Bard, when I look at Claude 2, when I look at all these generative pre-trained transformers, these large language foundational models that have hit the scene, there's certainly not enough people of color. There's certainly not enough women that are helping develop this. If you look at the OpenAI board, it's all male. That's just unacceptable in this present time for you wanting to adopt and us to adopt these type of harsh, very invasive type of technologies. I understand, Gatherverse community, this is a very uncomfortable subject, but now is the time to be uncomfortable, because if we have to deal and look at the ramifications of us not being more culturally inclusive, it will be much more uncomfortable then. And you will not say that there were some people that stood here in person or live to you that expressed these legitimate concerns. And if that sacrifices us losing people with Gatherverse, then so be it. I'll be that. But the reality is, if we do not have more cultural integration in the
Mm.
development of these models, all of
Mhm.
technology and the consumer on the enterprise, public sector, private sector will suffer at some point. You cannot leave whole entire communities out in developing these models and thinking that you can scrape the data horizontally from Google and think that you'll find successful outcomes. You will not, because we're starting to verticalize these foundational models, and we need more human intelligentsia. That is the lifeblood of AI. And if it's homogenized, if it's from a monocultural development perspective and not a polycultural development perspective, we're heading into very, very harsh waters.
Mm. Yeah, Chris, you look at stuff like HBCUs. Well, why do you have to have historically black colleges and university? Well, we had to, and we have to. As a matter of fact, I sometimes I'll use the word FBCU, a future black colleges and universities, because the ones we've had in the past, we need to do some things different in AI. We need to integrate some technology in a new way for us to be that in the future. But we have to be insistent, in these things. It's not just right now how it's going. It's not going in a way that's inclusive. So that in your short rant. I like the fact that you're able to put it out there and say, listen, for whatever it is, I'll lose people or I don't care. This is what needs to be said. Lachey, I see you really wanting to say something.
No, I just feel like Christopher really said it very well. I mean, this is the thing. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, like Chris said, is under assault. I mean, organizations are stripping training, from their curriculum. Um, People that used to be over diversity, equity, inclusions are no longer with companies anymore. They no longer have those, programs for people to even be over them anymore. I mean, so that is just the realm of where we are once again in IRL. And so, with that stripping, it's like, okay, we're dumping into the technology of AI, and how is the stripping of all of these different programs within companies who are here to build the AI systems. If they don't have these type of programs within them to even like chime a radar, chime a bell to say, hey guys, don't you think you need to have a team that looks like the world basically in order to create it so that it's implemented and in a way that is allowing for inclusiveness when the output is put out. So where do we go from here, right? I mean, so we're definitely seeing the writing on the wall of the stripping. It's like, how do you put it back in? How do you build the teams? How do you become that loud voice? Well, I would assume, Christopher, those that are watching right now, you can be an advocate, right? You can be an advocate for what's needed. Sometimes that one voice, that one singular voice in a company can make a difference that can impact the world. Being an advocate, your voice matters. Your voice matters. And I'm not talking about the AI voice generation of one, but yeah, your voice matters.
The reality is that everything that you said, I concur with, and that our time is out as quick as it came, as quick as it left. But let me leave you both with this. One, everyone that's here, follow these two, spend some time with them. They're really in the trenches. Their work is real. It's authentic. They were with us at the beginning of Gatherverse in our first summit. This is our 20th summit. And they'll always have a welcome table here at the Gatherverse community, because if you want to look at what a model looks like when it comes to Gatherverse and when it comes to diversity, equity, inclusion, look at our ecosystem. We have people from around the world. Mm-hmm. We don't just talk about being culturally inclusive. This is what we manifest. Mm. And so these small sessions that we have, everyone, I want you to really put a pin in it, because the future in which we're heading, sooner rather than later, which we're already here, is going to be dramatically impactful when it comes to civil and social society. And now is the only time that we have to be able to put out the warning, not a threat, that all of this could be prevented. Stefan, Lachelle, just give us your quick 2 seconds and then we're out.
I want to throw one thing out there really quick. Chris, I've talked to a couple of companies recently. We've gotten into some of what they're doing in the future, AI and all of this. I looked at what they were doing in February for Black History Month. It's not even on the calendar. All I'm saying is it's an extraordinary time for us to do work. Take that time. Companies, you were doing it in 2020 and 2021.
Sure.
Get back to that and use this time, not just February, but use this time to help to push us ahead and push the conversation. Lachey.
Sure. Lachey.
Yeah, and so I'll kind of piggyback on what you just said, Stefan. In all the conversations that people have with me, one of the things I leave with is that talk is great, but action is better.
Sure.
So let's get to work. Sure. I mean, that's the bottom line. We have to make purposeful actions.
You know what? And to be candid, Stefan, they can have Black History Month. I'll celebrate it all 12 months. And they can have
I get it.
If they don't want to hire someone that looks like me, then gosh darn it, with all the different type of tools that are available now, I'll build my own company and we'll teach other people, not just communities of color of Black, but those who have a willing desire to want to have some type of entry into this world. When it comes to business, we'll have to build our own, because we certainly can't find ourselves subjected to those that won't hire us in the first place and won't even give any kind of credence when it comes to one single month, the shortest month out of the year. Stefan, Lachey, thank you so much for being able to join us. Our gather was well.
Christopher, your leadership is great. Thanks so much.
Keep doing what you're doing, Christopher.
Lachey, good to see you.
Audience, thank you for being able to join us in this very candid discussion, because that's how we get down here at Gatherverse. We're about to go and enter into our final discussion, which is at the intersection of AI and money. What does this have to do with humanity? I can't afford a loaf of bread, and I need money. What's AI going to do with that? We enjoy these tools, but how does it help keep a roof over our head, food in the belly? And what is the meaning of money in this new emergent era of technology? Let me get out of your way so that we can get everyone here that's with us now with the leadership of Grant McGaugh. Mayor Gather be well.
Hello, everyone. I am Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM and host of the Follow Brand podcast and TV series. And I want to welcome you to a pivotal session of Gatherverse, the Money Matrix, AI and blockchain's pinnacle in financial evolution. And I'm joined by 7 trailblazing panelists who are reshaping the financial landscape. Today, we are venturing into an arena where the stakes are monumental, with the global blockchain market in finance projected to grow exponentially, reaching billions in value. We stand on the brink of a major shift. Our discussion will not only explore the emerging power of AI and blockchain, but also confront the pressing challenges like navigating complex regulatory landscapes and ensuring ethical AI implementation. We'll delve deep into how AI is revolutionizing blockchain technology in finance, enhancing security, and democratizing financial services. Our panelists, leaders in their fields, will illuminate AI-driven analytics for smarter decision-making and discuss the delicate balance of innovation and risk management. We will also answer the critical question: how do we ensure this financial evolution benefits all, maintaining transparency and trust? Let's embark on this enlightening journey together. Hello, panelists.
Hey Grant, how are you? Hey everybody. Hey Moses. Hi Jen.
I'm glad we are here. We're going to do round lightning. We've got about 20 minutes or so, but we want to get down to it, as they say, and talk about the money matrix and really where we're headed. So I'm going to ask a question. I want you to then introduce yourself, what business that you are in, and then answer your question. So we're going to start with Moses here. How is AI transforming the landscape of blockchain technology and finance? Moses, tell us all about you.
Hi, Grant. Thank you so much for the session. So my name is Moses, the CEO of Investor Farm. And what we do is we connect farmers in Africa to cryptocurrency lenders across the world for lending opportunities using both blockchain and AI. So I'll dive right into it. How is AI revolutionizing the blockchain landscape in terms of the financial evolution, basically? So when we started off, we were basically using blockchain. So it was basically to be a lending platform, but we realized there was a lot of factors that we needed to consider. Number one, we were dealing with a huge number of population, and the market we were serving was like so huge. So with blockchain alone, we were not able to, I would say, like facilitate the number of transactions we had on the platform. So we thought, what is the best way to make the process efficient and fast, and also to have, I would say, an all-inclusive credit score system, because for lending opportunities, you have to also determine credit score systems to be able to have a trust in the platform. So we brought in AI. That was the whole idea behind bringing in AI into the platform, to be able to ensure the processes are not just efficient but are fast enough to be able to enable most farmers or small scale farmers in Africa be able to access lending opportunities much easier. So in a way, it acts more of like, I would say, like it triggers blockchain, blockchain ecosystem, uh, and by far, by extension, it then enables financial evolution to be quick with implementation on blockchain.
This is very interesting because you're not talking about it, you're using it, and you're using it
Yeah.
in a good way in a place that really needs assistance in our African nations, and I really appreciate that. I'm going to switch over to Lynn. I was going to go to Alik, but he flipped off, but he's back. But I'm going to still go over to Lynn. Lynn, what are the
Yeah.
potential risks and benefits of integrating AI with blockchain in financial systems? And tell us a little bit about Lynn.
Yeah, so thank you so much. Those were quite intensive and very informative sessions. I loved the previous sessions as well. They were very quite interesting. So my name is Lynn Gitao. I'm here in Nairobi, Kenya. And I want to thank Gatherverse team, Christopher Lafayette and his team for this amazing opportunity. And what I do, I am a national speaker and also a moderator. I'm very curious. I came into this industry with a sense of curiosity, so moderating and my skills in communication really fits this job. And I am the COO Africa Meta Club, and what we do is we go into the grassroots and educate people about the metaverse, AI, XR, and what these things are. So maybe to just start off with a little bit what this whole technology means to me and our role in educating people is that blockchain and AI for the past 2 decades, that is from 2010 to 2020, that was a decade for blockchain, we must admit. 2020 to where we are now, till maybe to 2030, who knows? It's a decade for AI. So we have seen 2 decades that human beings have faced an emergence of technologies that they never expected. For some they expected, but for many, it's not something that they saw coming, although these technologies have been here for long. And what does this mean for finance? So in the decade 2020 to where we are right now, we have seen a very big emergence of new finances. Right now, we are not just talking about finances. We now have traditional finances. What we knew as financial systems are now traditional finances, because right now we have DeFi, we have an emergence of carbon finance, we have ReFi, we have DeFi, and all these emerging financial technologies that are here. Who knows, more to come. And we're now looking at a new era that we didn't expect. And I remember when Chris was finishing off his fireside chat, he said, I want the money. And this is where the money is. It's in ReFi, it's in DeFi, it's in Web3, it's in all these financial systems. And when I look at AI and the emergence of blockchain, I'm seeing a very efficient financial system, a very inclusive financial system. And I'm also seeing a threatening financial system. One, because of the biggest threat we have right now is illiteracy. So there are people who are so advanced in knowledge, they know what they're doing. But what about people who don't know what these things are? So there's so much potential, there's much risk. And one of the risks I actually came across was a deep fake video that was released by, I don't know, it was a deep fake by Michael. He's a financial mogul. And there was a deep fake video of him asking for Bitcoin transactions, advertising on returns, advertising on scams. And if someone didn't know this is a deep fake of Michael, who is a very financial mogul, they would definitely fall into that scam. And many did fall into that scam. So there's a very huge illiteracy problem, and that is where I see the biggest challenge is. And if we don't bridge that gap, let's not even go to bad people who are taking advantage of AI, deepfakes, and all these algorithm bias and all that. But do we even know what we're doing? There are people who know what they're doing, but majority of the people who don't know what they're doing. Companies are still researching. Experts are still trying to figure out how did we end up here? What are we doing? Is this can we go back to where we were? So I think the biggest challenge with these two emerging technologies is illiteracy and bridging that skill gap, as well as now addressing the biases and the things that are emerging. But as well, this is one of the best time to make money. I think for most Africans, we're now seeing startups like Moses. We're now seeing a lot of things that are emerging. So that's my thoughts.
Those are all very, very interesting. And I like how you've put it together. We need to understand that certain technologies are adopted quicker in other parts of the world, like mobile texting. Mobile texting was in the Japan much faster than it was in the United States from an adoption standpoint. I believe that blockchain will be the same because of the need and the urgency and the different traditional banking systems that are available. I'd like to now move to Ali Johari, and I'd like to for you definitely introduce yourself, then answer that question. How can AI enhance the security and transparency of blockchain transactions?
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Grant, Lynn, Moses. Like you guys have already added, quite a substantial amount of knowledge on this topic. As you can see, and thank you so much, the Gatherverse team. Christopher, he's doing a phenomenal job. I've been here, in his earlier summits and trying to get everybody under this name of Gatherverse. It's fantastic. Right. So what I do, I run a Web3 focused design development agency, right, based out of India, Delhi. And Lynn mentioned a fantastic point, about education, because I'm based out of India, and there's obviously, the scams is it's something that keep happening, especially in the cryptocurrency space. So I kind of sit at the center of both, technology adoption as well as education, right? So I run 2 3 podcasts where the idea is to get founders like Moses and Lynn to come and talk about their technologies and how they're actually enabling the whole ecosystem, irrespective of where you are in the world. Today, crypto exchange launched in US, will find audience all across the globe. So what I'm trying to say is the education bit is kind of universal, right? And now to coming back to this point of how AI can actually enhance the security and transparency, I think AI has a what we have. If we take a step back, like before, getting into the technology piece of it, we have to understand the human psyche. What we're trying to do is, why do we need security, right? Like, what is the essence? Like, if you're not attacking me, I'm not attacking you. We don't essentially don't need security. We can sit on the same table and have a nice chat. So that's where the human psyche comes into the picture. Technology is just a transaction mode, right? Today it is blockchain and AI. Yesterday it was something else. But the issues, if you see from a longer, say about 50 or 100 years of evolution, or the recent history, so to say, the issues are pretty much the same. It is about understanding, education. It is about greed. It is about making quick or fast money, like without putting in the necessary amount of effort, and without understanding. If say somebody comes and tells me, like you can make X amount of gain in this particular project, without somebody studying it, as they say, it's a very famous thing, like do your own research, DYOR, as they say in Web3. So without doing the research, people just go and want quick money. Yes, the world runs on it, as in the previous fire chat, Christopher mentioned that as well. I want money. Everybody needs money. Fortunately or unfortunately, the world cannot survive without it. But the point is, what are the means to do it? So that's where every person who's interacting with any new technology or a quick rich scheme should think around it. So that's what I want to add a little bit on the human side of it. Now, how AI can enhance the security? See, blockchain in itself is a very transparent mechanism. All the solutions that are being built on blockchain say transmutability as the core structure of it. That you cannot change it, you cannot modify it. Once it is written, it's kind of written. Like technically it is possible once we have the 51% of validations, but that's kind of impossible as of today to achieve with whatever superpower computers we have. So that's what everybody is selling in the blockchain industry, and that's what the technology does. So what AI can do on top of it is, try and have and AI is not something, like which will drop from heaven and take care of everything. AI is a solution which is built by people, right? So what data you feed it. The idea is that it's a faster processing mechanism with huge amount of data being fed into it. So what sort of demographic data are you feeding into it? Are you feeding data from India? Are you feeding from US? Are you feeding from Nairobi? Are you feeding from Uganda? I don't know. What I'm trying to say is that once this data being fed into AI system to try and track certain amount of transactions which can actually help in transparency. But if the data is not there, AI in itself cannot do anything, right? And I'll just take another minute. I just want to say that there was this report that all this data being fed on OpenAI training models was done by people sitting in Kenya, right? And Lynn can tell us better there. But so you see, you have people sitting in Kenya feeding all this data being provided by somebody, but what data was coming in?
Yeah.
So once we feed the right amount of data to it, whether it scams, whether it is technology play out, that's where the AI model will actually help you save people from scams and
This is important.
several other things.
What
Yeah.
you're talking about is so important. We're still in this maturity cycle, right? Just like anything else, when it's first born and it starts to take shape, we're going through this transformation process and maturing, going from this toddler stage into mainly a K through 5, fifth grader, as far as where we're at. We kind of see where the lay of the land. And I want to preference people to understand when the internet first came out, it wasn't elegant as we see it now. It took time to get it together. And there was a ton of people taking advantage when e-commerce came out, tons of scams. I'm saying that to say this, the technology worked, had nothing to do with the technology. Going back to what Alik said, it's about humans. We have to be mature around how we're utilizing the technology to be more creative and to be more helpful. Now, going back to some of the things that we've talked about, and even what Christopher talked about before, where we are headed, if we are going to allow the tech states, the sweet seven or wherever they're called today, the magnificent seven, control all the data, which then they control all the economics in all the world, that will be a problem. We need to understand these things. Then we have the nation states, wherever they are, and how these interplay. They're going to impact the people, and then the fracturing of power and the distribution of power. I want to ask Lynn, because I think the picture on this slide looks so much like Lynn. I think she made this slide. So I want to ask Lynn, what role does AI play in the evolution of cryptocurrencies and digital assets?
Yeah, that's a very brilliant question, because I think I live in a very good time whereby where I live, that is Kenya, and Moses can testify, and a lot of African startups, cryptocurrency has opened a new regime of financial transactions that, as a continent, we just leapfrogged. We leapfrogged from being traditional banking to now DeFi in just 10 years and all that. It's something that we didn't expect. Personally, there's a time in where I could even send money to countries like USA or Jamaica unless it's in the weekday. If it's not in the weekday or in the weekend, no transaction. You don't even get enough feedback. But when it comes to cryptocurrency, and what makes me put a smile on my face when I hear about the cryptocurrency, is peer-to-peer, something that is fast, a new income generating opportunity, not get rich quick, as Johari mentioned, which people are lured to, but it's a new opportunity for most of us. So when we see AI coming into play, especially in this decade, we're seeing a lot of where a majority of traders, because that's where we started. Personally, that is where we started with this journey. A lot of traders are now using AI to predict trading markets. They're now using AI to analyze what's going to happen. They're now using AI to companies as well. They're now using AI to analyze consumer behaviors. Big tech companies in cryptocurrency. Companies like Binance and all their likes. They're now using AI to analyze customer behavior. How are people trading? Where are they from? How can we serve them better? So when we see this kind of margins of finance and AI, I think it's a very better and efficient world to live in and make good money from. And also, when you talk about digital currency or digital assets, can we mention the creativity part of it, whereby now artists are now selling their art. They don't have to go to art galleries. They don't have to go anywhere. They just post their art either on DeFi, or not DeFi, maybe blockchain powered marketplaces. And part of what we do in African Meta Club is bring African artists and tell them you don't have to wait to be called for an art gallery or somewhere. Just mint your artwork as NFTs and people will get you. And we have witnessed a very tremendous shift in this game where African art is now selling best at NFT markets, and there's a lot of demand in this kind of art. So most of these art, some of them are AI art, where people who don't know how to do art can now do AI art and now sell them as NFTs, as digital assets, or either just keep them as digital assets. So this is a very good play. I see a very good marriage between the two of them. Perhaps maybe Moses can add to that. He's doing a lot to doing with cryptocurrency. Yeah, thank you.
We're going to move over to Moses because he's sitting right there. I don't know. Moses, are you with us? I think he's on the phone right now. I don't think I can hear him. But Johari, how can AI-driven analytics optimize blockchain for better financial decision making? That's a mouthful, but I'm sure you can speak to it.
I can give it a try. No, I think it's a very important point right now. See, what's happening is that we are trying to paint AI as sort of a savior, right? That AI can do this, AI can do that, AI can do everything, right? So what you have to understand is, like at every point, you might hear me saying this quite often, that we have to take that responsibility, right? Once we take that responsibility, then AI can do whatever with it for us. Like in the digital assets that you meant, it has a plethora of opportunities. Like in fact, there's a project that we're working on. Like within my agency, they launched uh, they launched a movie right now where the fans can come together and fund that movie through an NFT. It's like a ownership sort of a thing. It's based on, it's a Hollywood movie. The director, producer are pretty famous, right? Pretty well noted. So what I'm saying is, those kind of things are giving an opportunity to people right now. So coming back to this point, how you can make financial decisions is, for example, now the data is being collated. See, blockchain became famous like in the last 4 or 5 years. It's been there for a long time as a technology. So in when 2009, a peer-to-peer, when Bitcoin white paper came out, people started noting about it. Okay, it is something you can do about it. But the actual famous things and the proponent happened once Ethereum came out with smart contracts, right? So what happens is, what AI can do is, once you have all this data fed into the system, it can help you understand better financial issues, right? It can help you figure out, where are the scams happening. Like we all know the recent FTS scams and Terra Luna and all those things. So that's the data which will go into the system, and now this technology will become a little smarter to predict those issues, which is very important, so that as an investor you can know, like whether you go ahead and invest in that particular project or no, or do you want some more information. What also AI can do is, like it can get you the background of all the people who are leading that project. What is the background history, which is very important. So if there's somebody whose history beyond 2020 is non-existent, which means that it could be a shady project.
Hmm.
Somebody saying I have 20 years experience, I've dealt this, but that transaction history or that history is not available for you. So which means that you as a investor should not go ahead and do that. So that's where all these things will come play. I mean, it's a big topic, like we could take this whole event
No,
on.
no.
Yeah,
See, this,
let's go ahead.
people probably thinking, especially a couple of years ago, they were out on OpenSea and they're seeing all these
Yeah.
projects and
Yes.
they're just doing it on face value with no research about who you're dealing with. And
Exactly.
then, unfortunately, some people, find themselves in different circumstances. Moses, you are back with us. Come off of mute. We want to talk to you because first Lynn said, hey, he might know something about this. Because the one thing I like about what you're doing, Moses, you're doing the work. You're actually utilizing these things. You're making this thing happen. You're contributing. If you look at the question there, how can AI contribute to a democratized financial system? Hey, how are you benefiting from what you're doing there in your endeavors?
Okay, I would say first, what Alec has said is like completely on point because some of the things we use in our platform is enabling the investors that come into the platform and lend their crypto uh, have enough information through AI analytics. Do they have enough information, market information that ensures that whenever they invest in their crypto, they will always stay up to date with the market trends so that they don't lose the value of their crypto or don't lose their liquidity. So it's really something that I would say embedded in the platform that ensures that we have a really, I would say, like robust system that is both powered by AI and blockchain, and that spreads across, like I would say, like even up to tokenization because we also use tokenization. So we have farmers that tokenize their farming assets, but now for investors we use more of like fractional tokenization. So depending on the risk and the crypto that's involved, all that coming into place, I think AI is quite, I would say, a game changer for the platform because there are a lot of things we're now bringing, I would say, like missing pieces that we're bringing together that's now looking very interesting for the platform.
This is interesting. I want to ask a question, especially all three of you. I'm asking you this question. How is your government in your countries viewing cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, which Bitcoin is up today, if I remember, on the stock market? But how are they? Are they pushing for it? Are they kind of like kawaii? Tell us, all three of you, tell us about what's happening in your country. How's your country adopting these types of currencies?
I'll let Liam speak on behalf of Kenya because we're both from the same country.
So maybe I can also speak on generally about Africa itself. So there's a very big rise in DeFi. The startups are there, the innovations are there, the zeal for people to adopt this thing is there. But it's so sad, or perhaps there's a very slow adoption when it comes to the government. But I'm saying governments like the ones in Rwanda and most of the governments, Nigeria, Kenya itself, and there's so many emerging governments that are taking note of this technology, especially when it came to blockchain. Period 2018 2017, that Kenya was very serious with it. There was task force and all that, and there was even adoption to it, and it was declared blockchain is legal. You're free to use blockchain. But however, there's some other African countries that the name blockchain is associated to crypto. Being associated to crypto is a no-go zone. So there's still countries that are far behind it. And but the people are there. I can testify the people are there. The DeFi startups are there. It's just the normal trends everywhere. There's no, I think it's common for all nations all over the world, whereby the governments are always like a one step behind. Some others 10 steps behind. So but the thing is, sometimes the government is always behind on this kind of technology, and it's a trend everywhere. But we're seeing
I
a lot of
understand. We've got like 5 minutes left, so very quickly, tell us what's going on in India from a crypto perspective.
Well, I think the government stand is pretty clear, and it's similar to what Lynn mentioned. They are all in for the technology, like blockchain. They want to use it. There are different technologies being built, and India is obviously, like leading sort of a global movement in terms of the digital transactions, with UPI and several other things. What's happening within the country, digital payment structure. So they're very all in for blockchain. We are working on a white paper for CBDC, that's central banking digital currency and stuff like that. But as long as it's a cryptocurrency, it's a no go. I mean, there is not a clear no, but they're trying to make it in a way. Regulatory compliances are so much that you from somebody hosting that as an exchange. Once you're compliant, then it's still better, right? There's a exchange out of India called CoinDCX. Fantastic. They are one of the most compliant ones as far as I can recall, right? And then there are certain ones that are finding it difficult to survive, because see, what you have to think is that the government has to think for everybody, like all the people in the country, not only the smart ones, not only the ones who have access to it easily, not only the ones who have knowledge to it. They have to make sure that all the ones, say, in the grassroots level are also protected. So that's why the focus is more on the technology, which they want to push, and not so much on terms of the cryptocurrency, so to say.
I understand. That is good to know. I want to help our audience and give us some food for thought. You have to understand, when you're changing, especially when you're changing the financial system, you think about how the world went from a gold standard to more of a paper standard, right?
Yes.
A representation of value that the world had to agree on. And we still have many different financial systems. And what is the agreed upon value of said dollar, peso, rupee, whatever it may be? And cryptocurrency presents a different value system. You've got to look at who gains, who loses. Remember that. Who gains, who loses. Who uses Western Union these days? Who's these other forms of financial transactions that are instantaneous. And I remember when the financial system was just getting used to the ATM. A simple ATM was a very difficult process, and they had to agree upon a system of transfer. So I could be in India and do a transaction with my debit card, even though I'm in the US, or I'm in India using the card, because there's a agreed upon protocol, regulation, and systems. We are at the beginnings of that to really understand if this is going to be a system that we're going to use universally, and then it's going to be an agreed upon system, and everybody has buy-in to it, and that everyone has an equal footing and advantage, to your point. So it can affect 8 billion people on the planet equitably if we're going to do that. But remember what I said, power usually doesn't like to share. Understand
Yes.
what I just said. Power usually does not like to share. And only when there's other things on the table is there any kind of shift in the powers that be. So be mindful of when on Gather versus this entire last 48 hours. I want to thank you. I want to thank you, Lynn. I want to thank you. We call you Johari. What is your first name? Is it Alec?
Alec, yeah. I think you can call me Alex, is okay.
Alex is fine. I like it. I know Moses is on. So thank you for being on the platform. We're going to swing it back around. Hopefully, Chris has a few moments there that he can go ahead and send us off. So thank you very much for being on the show.
Fantastic for having us.
thank you. Let's connect.
Let's connect for sure.
That's it. There's no more. We're finished. We're done. Thank you to our last panel for the insightful information that you shared on the human level in the approach to blockchain technology and DeFi's, DAOs, dApps, NFTs. This is our 20th summit, and we've now come to the conclusion, with our next summit being Gatherverse 2024 Summit in just a few weeks. All of our events are free. We're not asking for your money. Spend that elsewhere. But what we are asking for is your compassion, your care, and you've shown that these past 2 days and these past 20 events. What we're asking for is engage with us. Follow or don't follow our platforms. Share or don't share this content. We can't ask anything more from you than what you've already given us, which is more precious. It's time that you'll never get back. You've given that. We won't ask for another like. We won't ask for another share. If you have room in your heart, in your mind, we'll take it. But we thank you for giving a thing to us that we know that you'll never get back again. But as dramatic as that sounds, it's true. I'm reminded that we only have a little bit of time to do all these things that we do in technology and to innovate and build. And before you know it, it's being passed down and handed down to the generations to come. We hope that this event has been insightful and has been of benefit to you. We hope that you've seen value in it and that we've earned your trust. We can't do this alone. It certainly takes community to do it. We thank you for your time. We hope that you'll continue to forage and to explore, to set sail on new ideas and consideration at this intersection of humanity and emerging technologies. This is the conclusion of Gatherverse 2024 AI Summit. Our gather was well. And upon the next time that we're so fortunate to have the opportunity to sojourn together at our next summit, then may our gather be well.